So the first thing on page 11, you remember I just mentioned on page 10, what does that kind of little egg symbol, that open circle that's there on the line E? What that denotes, what that tells us, it's a whole note, okay? Whole notes receive 4 beats. Those beats are what we call quarter notes. We're going to get into that a little bit later when we get onto the B string. But just so you know, when I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm actually counting quarter notes. And a whole note has 4 quarter notes in it. You can kind of think of a dollar bill lining up 4 quarters underneath it, okay? It's the same thing, okay? But here we're going to count the 4 beats, but we're only going to hit on beat number 1. So let me show you how this sounds with the metronome. So you can hear the metronome, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So that's an example of a whole note. Now, a whole note doesn't mean fast or slow. Whatever tempo you're at, it just means there's 4 beats in that note. Let me show you an example if I speed it up. Still going to be whole notes. Likewise, whole notes can be very slow as well. 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. That's tempo. If you watch the metronome video, I explained that. So tempo is how fast or slow just the entire piece is. But whatever tempo the piece is at, the whole note will always receive 4 beats, and those 4 beats are quarter notes, okay? And in this case, we're just going to count hit on 1 and let it ring for the entire duration for beats 1, 2, 3, 4. And then your next note will come on beat 1 of the next measure. So what am I referring to when I say beats 1, 2, 3, 4? This is what we call a time signature, okay? So every piece will have a time signature at the beginning of the piece. And what that tells you is how many beats there are per measure. Now, pieces can change. You know, if you're listening to a band like Tool or King Crimson or Rush or Yes, or these kind of what we call progressive rock bands, Dream Theater or something like this, Mars Volta, we have a lot of what we call shifting meter. But in this book, for the most part, and most of what you hear on the radio, stays in one time signature for the entire piece. The most common time signature in United States popular music is 4/4. 4/4 and then 3/4. What 4/4 refers to, or what any of these 5 time signatures that I wrote here on page 11, the top number tells you how many beats in each measure. The bottom number tells you what kind of a note receives those counts or those pulses or those beats that we're feeling. Now this will become clear as we move through the book. The only one we really care about right now is 4/4. Okay, and in a couple pages we're going to get into 3/4. But 4/4, you're just going to count just like I did with the metronome before. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be playing whole notes. But no matter what you play, whatever rhythm you're playing, it's got to equal 4 beats total for that measure. Like I mentioned before, the dollar bill can be broken into 10 dimes, 4 quarters, 20 nickels, but the total value is $1. So the total rhythmic value of a measure of 4/4 has to always equal 4 quarter notes or 1 whole note if you added it all up, okay? For now, our first piece is going to be just whole notes, so don't worry if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed right now. But you should familiarize yourself with this concept of time signatures. Everyone loves music, but maybe you've never thought of it in this analytical way. So now we're going to start to deconstruct stuff. And you can do this if you're driving in the car, whatever you're doing. If you're hearing music, try to see if you can count along. Try to see if you can find the meter. Try to see if you can find where beat 1 is and figure out, is it in 4/4? Is it in 3/4? Is it in 6/8? Is it in 12/8? Is it in 9/8? What is it in, right? If you're listening to, a little bit weirder stuff like I mentioned, like Rush or something, it could be in 5/4. It could be in 7/8. If you're listening to music from Eastern Europe, from Hungary, right, from Bulgaria, then you're going to hear all kinds of crazy stuff, 11/8, 15/8, things like that. For now, we're just worried about 4/4. Okay, so let's look on the bottom of the page. So the time signature of our next piece, which is called Vámonos, is 4/4 or common time. Both time signatures mean the same thing, 4 beats per measure. So if you look on the bottom left, see the C symbol there, right? That kind of is cut in half by the line B of the treble clef. Common time, meaning 1, 2, 3, 4, held within every measure. If you see 4/4 written, that's just a little bit more clear. It means 4 quarter notes per measure, but same thing, or the equivalent value thereof, such as the whole note that you see there. Okay, so let's turn the page to page 12. All of these concepts are become much clearer as we apply them and learn the pieces, then it will make sense.